Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse, episode 412. I am Peter, and joining me as always is Matt.
Hey, what's going on?
This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together and we talk about the books we read this week. Coming up on this week's show, we got Batman and Robin issue 10, Green Lantern 12, Outsiders 8, Blue Beetle 10, and Batman Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age issue 1. So, you know, so interesting things there. We'll get into all that. Well, plus Matt read Gotham by Gaslight, the original, to prep for that, so he'll have some thoughts on that as well. We also have solicits. They were kind to us and gave us the solicits on the week that was quieter versus next week, which has more books. So it's always a toss-up what you get it on, depending on what day the month started on. So it's nice to get them on the quieter week. So we'll be looking through those as well. That's September's solicits specifically, and we'll look through that as we always do. Before we get to anything though, Matt, how was your week?
Long and busy, but I did squeeze some movies in, which is good, and I started Shogun, which I need to get back to, which is nice because since it's subtitled, you have to pay attention, because you got to read. You can't be looking around doing other things, unless you already speak Japanese, then it's fine, But I started looking up Japanese history while the show was on. And I had to keep pausing it because I was missing things. Because I was like, wait, when is this era? What is going on? Because they do a good job at kind of setting the stage. But, the person in me that loves continuity, right? That also applies to real life. And I wanted to know, why exactly is it starting like this? And what is it with the Portuguese in Japan? Because we don't learn that history here. But yeah, so far so good. But no, and I watched the Glenn Powell movie Hitman. The Linklater movie, pretty enjoyable. I have to say so myself.
That's a different type of movie for Linklater.
Yeah, it kind of lines up because it's not what you think. Because I don't want to give too much away, but with a name like Hitman, it's a little bit more Linklater-y than you would think. It's more about relationships than it is about actual murdering people. So, but yeah, I think you should check it out. Do you like his other movies?
I like the Before trilogy.
Okay.
Boyhood was a bit of a slog though.
Yeah.
So I'll say that. But I hit and miss, I guess.
Yeah. This one's kind of a combo of, I won't say not Boyhood, but his there's an aspect of the Before movies because it really harkens down on relationships, not just romantic, but interpersonal stuff, and something more a little bit lighter like Dazed and Confused and Everybody Wants Some. Kind of blends those a bit. So it definitely feels like Linklater when you're watching it, which is nice. But yeah, the older I get, the more I appreciate, which I should probably, I never finished the Before trilogy. I think I've only seen the first one. So I think I need to go and check in on those because I feel like they would be much more my thing now than, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah,
the middle one was always my favorite.
Okay.
So.
Cool. Yeah, how about your week?
It was okay. It's sleeping patterns all over the place. Been busier because, I'm glad The Boys is back, but I wish Amazon wouldn't launch it with 3 episodes because it makes my reviewing it a nightmare to fit it in around other things. But first episode of that was good. I also watched some random movies. I revisited the first Addams Family.
Oh.
Because 1 and 2 were on sale as a bundle on iTunes. So that was a kind of weird trip down memory lane. My main takeaway watching that is that it was pretty good, but my main takeaway is that the reason why everyone remembers Values more fondly is not because there's anything wrong with the first one. In fact, the scene stealers in the first one are absolutely Christopher Lloyd and Raul Julia, right? The casting of those two is perfect. But the other casting that everyone always brings up with Addams Family being perfect is Christina Ricci as Wednesday. However, she is so young in that first movie that she doesn't really get to be the Wednesday that everyone remembers her being until the second movie.
Right, which is where she sings. I love Values so much. I would say it's a top 10 movie that, oh my God, I can watch it at any point. And a lot of that's because of her.
Oh, I mean, it's not a top 10 movie. I mean,
for me, very enjoyable. You know what I mean?
It takes a high bar to get into my top 10, Matt.
Yeah, Pete, but you're a film snoop, so I would expect that.
Yeah, but I feel like I could fill out your top 10 with just Spielberg and Kong.
I mean, you're not wrong.
There's no room for anything else in your top 10.
Spielberg is involved in my top 5 movies of all time. They're non-negotiable.
Yeah.
Just boom.
You're bored. You're predictable.
He's either... Yeah, but I bet you can't do the order. I know you'll get one.
Raiders is number 1. 2, since you think you're going to swerve me, I'm going to go outside the box and say... Jurassic Park?
No, it's Jaws. You're close, though.
That's not that surprising, though. Like, honestly, I thought Jaws was the more likely answer, so I went Jurassic Park because I thought you were trying to trick me. But fair enough.
You did get whose house? Swerve's house.
I also watched randomly MacGruber.
Okay.
Because I'd heard people...
Not a Pete movie.
I'd heard people reference it on a podcast, and I was annoyed that I wasn't in the joke, so I watched MacGruber.
That made me the ghost scene at the cemetery makes me belly laugh every time, and in fact I don't remember most of the other movie because that takes up the most in my head.
Honestly, I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, which is not to say that I don't think a lot of it is just stupid, but because I wasn't like the first 5-10 minutes I was mostly like, oh god, this is a turd, this is a turd, I'm going to hate this. And then something got me. Something made me laugh. And from that point on, I would say, yes, there was a lot of jokes I was rolling my eyes at. I think sometimes Will Forte is a little too Will Forte. But but every 1 in 5 or so jokes tended to get me from that point on. So I had mostly a decent time with it, I will say. Yeah,
amazing that it's a pretty competent movie based off of, it's a 5-minute sketch on SNL. That ends the same every time, you know? So the fact that they can stretch out a movie and there's a mythos, and they even did a TV show on Peacock.
Yeah, that was much more recent, yeah.
Yeah, you know, so it's amazing that they were able to make it work in the way that they did. I totally did, not that it got lost on me, but I was so focused on talking about Linklater. I also finally saw Furiosa, Pete.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yes, so, and you're right, I did enjoy it. Not as much as Fury Road, but... It's still a spectacle. George Miller is insane. He's 80 now, and he's still ripping off not ripping off, but like pulling off this crazy filmmaking feat.
Yeah, either he's 80 or he's about to turn 80. I think maybe still 79 still, but yeah, he's in that range. No, the movie's fantastic. It was just like, honestly, watching that and then just looking at the rest of the things that have come out this year and being like, what is everyone else's excuse? Like, what the hell? Like,
it's crazy.
You know, it's not that I haven't enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the New Apes. I enjoyed the dumbness of Godzilla Kong, but like, you know, Furiosa is just on a bit of a different level. Yeah, and I was gonna say something and it just disappeared about Furiosa and the way that it was, but you started talking about other movies and my brain filled in. Oh, just George Miller and the fact that this is the same guy that made like Babe, right, and The Witches of Eastwick, and he's making in his older age crazy loud car movies. And it's so crazy. He started with the crazy loud car movies as well.
No, I know. But you would think that he starts working towards the smaller, quieter stuff. But then he, 10 years ago now, he was like, you know what? I'm going to make another Mad Max. But yeah. Yeah, pretty good. I thought Hemsworth was really chewing up the scenery in the best way. And it's so much more that I started rooting for him at times, and I had to think about life decisions. I go, wait, no, he's the villain. You can't.
Yeah, I can't say I was ever rooting for Hemsworth's character.
Yeah, there were parts of it I was like, oh yeah, man, go. Wait, no, that's bad. If he does that, that's bad. But that's just the force that Hems is. So, but yeah, so that was my week. Furiosa, nice. I had a pretty good movie week.
Yeah, I mean, I had some, I had a mixed bag. I watched some crappy shark movie on Netflix called Under Paris, which was taking itself far too seriously for the concept that it ultimately turned into. But
yeah, I thought that was like an old 90s movie until it popped up on Netflix. Because I just see when you have your movie thread going, and and I just pay attention to what you're watching. So, I don't look at the years or whatever. And so I was shocked when it was recent, and it's not silly, that they're doing sharks in Paris, and no one's punching the shark. That was my problem with the Meg. Not enough Statham punching the shark.
I mean, the ending's pretty silly, but it takes itself so seriously for so long before that it wasn't that fun to actually sit through.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite shark movie that's not Jaws?
Oh, Deep Blue Sea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I like The Shallows. I'm big on The Shallows.
That's all right.
Deep Blue Sea is a lot of fun.
Deep Blue Sea's got You Ate My Bird. So,
yeah.
It gets some points.
It also has one of the best jump. Is it really a jump scare with Samuel L. Jackson?
I mean, there's definitely a jump involved.
Yes, but I mean, it doesn't play like a jump scare. But yes, there's a. I remember watching that when it came out and be like, "Oh my god, this is great!" Super intelligent sharks.
Yeah, I think the problem is that other than Jaws, no one should be trying to make a serious shark movie. You lead into the silliness of it and just go with it, because none of the ones that try to be serious actually work, unless they're unintentionally hilarious, which is obviously always an option. But that's unintentional. You can't set out to do that.
When you make something like that, you gotta have a little bit tongue in cheek, because even Jaws has some humor sprinkled throughout. Hooper, and his whole vibe. So once you start taking it way too serious, again, that was my problem with the Meg. It should have been more fun. Like make it a little bit silly.
Yeah, take it. It's the same with we've been doing 90s disaster movies on Collector's Cut, and one of the key things that separates the ones that I like more from the ones that I don't like as much is the ones that just try and take themselves seriously the whole time. Is like ultimately you end up doing silly things anyway, so just admit you're silly and have fun with it, because I'd be having more fun if you did.
So are you purposely spreading them out so you don't do Volcano and Dante's Peak back to back?
No, we did them back to back.
You did do them back to back. I missed you did Dante's. So, should I go back and watch Volcano? I'd only seen it in the theaters whenever that came out. Was that 97?
97, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if need is a word that I would use.
That's fair.
But I think it's better than Dante's Peak because it's more silly.
Okay. Gotcha. Then you have me at silly. So I've seen Dante's Peak a couple times. So Linda Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Pierce. So watch that a lot.
Tommy Lee Jones is a more interesting lead than Pierce Brosnan is, and I will leave it at that.
Yeah, I will not argue. So what other disaster movies have you watched then? Because I know you have Deep Impact and Armageddon.
We haven't done those yet. Twister's coming up, because that's the reason why we're doing the season, is to do Twister before Twisters comes out. But we did Daylight, and we'll be looking at Outbreak. And then it's kind of an oddball pick, but we did a vote on Patreon between a few choices that were kind of lesser known, and White Squall won, which is a boat disaster movie.
I think is that Ridley? No.
It is, yes, Ridley Scott.
It is Ridley. Okay. I get that and The Perfect Storm confused, and I know he did one with the other. So
I'd never heard of it, to be honest, but Jeff Bridges is in it, so maybe it'll be all right. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a sailing yacht, and it gets caught up in some storms. And they have to go through that. I think I watched it back in the 90s. It's been a while, but I got that one. And what was the river rafting one confused? Oh shit! Yeah, there's a river rafting movie that came around the same time, where the mom and the son get kidnapped while on a rafting. Anyways,
I can't say I know what it is, so
I gotta look it up.
But no, we've been doing that, and yeah, but that was pretty much my week. It's honestly been kind of a weird week because the weather's been much worse the last week or so than it had been for all of May. Like, for whatever reason, it just turned kind of wet and thundery, and has been kind of mild in the heat. So it's been sludging through it more than anything else. In
your numbers, we've been in the 40s. It's been consistent.
Oh yeah, we won't even hit that at our peak. So. A fact I'm very thankful for. In fact, we probably won't even hit 30 at our peak, so I'm also thankful for that.
Yeah. It is currently, I'm trying to pull up the Celsius. It is currently right now 39 degrees. So not as bad as last week, but we finished football a little bit later because we got off to a later start because they left the sprinklers on at the park because I think they're trying to chase us out of there, but we're stubborn. And it got really warm really quick. So I'm pounding waters and other things today to try to stay above the dry scale, you know.
All right, well, I guess we can get into business. Starting off with the list formerly known as the ComiXology Top 10, although now it's just the Kindle rankings or whatever we want to call it. And it is split up, obviously, by day. Not for much longer, admittedly, but we'll be looking at Tuesday first. Matt, what do you think the number one book is from Tuesday?
I'm only going to say this because Batman's in the title. I'm going to say Batman and Robin.
No.
It is not. Okay, then. Is it Gotham by Gaslight, Kryptonian Age?
It is.
There we go. I had a 50-50 shot. So.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two is Green Lantern. Number three is Batman and Robin. Number four is The Outsiders. 5 is Suicide Squad Dream Team. 6 is Red Hood The Hill. 7 is Blue Beetle. 8 is Sinister Sons. And then we're out of single issues at that point, so we're out of collections now. But 9 is JLA Year 1, and which is obviously a new edition of that. It's not exactly a new story. And then 10 is Batman Beyond Neo Gothic, collecting that stuff. So
that JLA Year 1, is that a Mark Waid story?
It is a Mark Waid story.
I thought so. I got to check that out. That's one that I missed.
Yeah, I've not read that either. So, but yeah, clearly a quiet week. I mean, yeah, the 4 books I read were the top 4 books. So,
yeah,
I guess I'm lining up with the masses of the DC fan base. I guess. I don't know what else to say really. Wednesday. Yeah. Do you have a guess for number 1?
I'm going through and I'm looking to see if there's anything weird that dropped. That I might have missed. I didn't go into the shop this week because I didn't have a lot of physical books to pick up. That's usually when I do my looking. I'm going to guess Ultimate X-Men 4.
That is incorrect.
That is. Okay, then. I must have missed something. Is it Blood Hunt?
Nope.
Oh, wow. So the event's not selling. Is it Transformers?
Yeah, it's Transformers.
I don't want to give. I didn't like. No offense. I'm sure it's fine. Stereo Warren Johnson, but I want to think that Transformers was coming in number 1.
Yeah, Transformers issue 9 is the number 1 book from Wednesday as of right now on the Kindle store. Number 2 is X-Men: Heir of Apocalypse.
Where is that?
I think it's in issue 1, so it's probably quite far
down. It is. Yeah, it is on League of Comic Geeks. It's like row 4 or 5.
Yeah. 3 is Blood Hunt. 4 is Gods, issue 8, the final issue of that. 5 is Avengers. 6 is Ultimate X-Men. 7 is Scarlet Witch, issue 1. 8 is X-Men Blood Hunt Jubilee. 9 is Fantastic Four. And 10 is Incredible Hulk.
All right.
Which is still Philip K. Johnson, for the record. So
yeah.
Might be worth checking that out at some point. Elsewhere, I mean, Marvel had a lot of books out. There's some Spider-Man and Daredevil after that. Darth Vader's there. Next non-Marvel book is number 15, and that's The Deviant, which is a Tynion the Fourth number.
Okay.
So
nice.
So that's cool. Still very Marvel dominated. It feels like a non-Marvel book got number 1, so Marvel like made up for it by just flooding the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. There you go. There's the top 10 for the week. So without further ado, we will get into the solicits because we have solicits for September. I did see a couple of announcements on Twitter during the week. I've not looked at the solicits themselves, so I'm assuming everything I saw will just be in the solicits. If it isn't at the end, we'll maybe find out. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But starting off September solicits, we have Absolute Power issue 3. The event continues. Not much to say really here. This is the Wade and Dan Mora book. We have Batman: The Last Halloween issue 1. This is Jeff Loeb and Eduardo Riso. This is interesting. But
issue 1, it doesn't say. I think it's an ongoing. It's at least a mini because
I doubt it's an ongoing, but
yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah,
that's not a one shot.
It doesn't say one shot anyways.
Oh, they're all new 10-part mystery continuing from the Long Halloween special. So, yeah.
10-part mystery. Continue from the Long Halloween special. So, I don't think I read that because I think it was mostly old stuff with like one little new story. So, hopefully, this is easy to jump in. But we're getting a new Jeff Loeb Long Halloween sequel.
The Last Halloween too. It's a good name.
Both Long Halloween and Dark Victory, which is a sequel to that, are both very good and very good books to recommend after year one as like early Batman stories. So this is interesting. No, I mean, admittedly, Jeff Loeb's writing quality has varied a lot over the decades, but okay, I'm intrigued. We'll see how it goes.
They're calling it the final act of the Long Halloween. So I guess they're counting Dark Victory in that. So
of course they are.
Well, no, but I know, but it doesn't have that thing because when it says it's the end, where did it say that? Multiple sequels, the long anticipated final act, Batman: The Last Halloween. So yeah,
Dark Victory is absolutely the second main book in that lineage. So. Yeah, I mean, effectively, this becomes a trilogy. I know technically there's Haunting Night, but that was like 3 different Halloween special one-shots.
Right.
It wasn't really quite the same thing. That predated Long Halloween, and then Long Halloween was obviously this big marquee book. Dark Victory was a sequel a few years later.
Which it was those specials, right? That is why they did the Long Halloween.
Yeah. It kind of like is what led to Long Halloween being a thing, but they're very different and separate from the rest of it, whereas Long Halloween and Dark Victory are easily like I would never recommend someone just read Long Halloween. I would always say read Dark Victory as well. So
I have it. I still have yet to read Dark Victory. I do have it though, sitting on the shelf.
So this would be the end of the trilogy, I guess. Shame that Tim Sale isn't doing the interior. They're doing a cover, sure, but not doing the interiors. Not that Rizzo's a bad artist, but clearly a compromise was made, perhaps, for whatever reason.
Well, Tim Sale passed, correct?
Did he?
I think so.
Okay, I'm misremembering that.
Let me just double check, because I think that cover they also used.
Ah, this is an old cover.
Yeah, he passed away June 16, 2022. So.
Well, yes. Now we're talking about it. I remember this happening.
Yep.
Well.
So yes, indeed, a compromise was made. No one did any necromancy to get Sale to come up and finish the trilogy.
Maybe they should have. Maybe they should have raised him from the dead to do one more book. Okay.
Although Eduardo Rizzo's art does complement the Sale style a little bit. They have the flat colors and. That style of art. So
bad choice. Okay, apologies there. I'm just forgetting Tim Sale's dead. But fair enough. Next up, Nightwing 118. This is the finale of Taylor's run, his final arc. So we'll see how that goes. We got DC's I Know What You Did Last Crisis. I mean, that's a funny title.
It is.
I'll give them that. I doubt I will read this 80-page, anthology issue. But notably, though, from this is just the fact that one of the writers is none other than Dan Didio. That's the reason why this stands out more than anything. But obviously, everyone's making their jokes about Didio being back. Him doing a short story in an anthology is very different from him being in charge. I wouldn't worry everyone.
Yes. So there's. I don't want to give away the what's in the blurb underneath the solicit, but knowing what I know about Didio, it's very funny that this seems to be the story of the anthology. So if you just want to give that a read, I don't want to spoil it for people in case they don't know. But yes.
So I won't be touching that. Not because it's Didio, just because I tend to skip these big 80-page anthologies these days.
It's all stuff that is taking place during those. So it's an anthology book about stories from Crisis on Infinite Earths, Millennium, Zero Hour, The Final Night, and Final Crisis. So it's kind of like a grab bag of stories set during those events, which, I'm sure will be fine.
Well, yeah, but that I mean, if this was a mini-series, though, I'd give it a try. But the fact that this 80-page anthology with a bunch of 10-page stories makes me far less, interested in trying it. So, next up, we got Lobo Cancellation Special. That's a hell of a title. Yep. Can't say I'm particularly excited about this one shot, but it's Kyle Starks writing with Kyle Hutz on the art. There's something funny to me about having a creative team where they're both named Kyle. I don't know.
It is Starks and Hutz. They sound like a tag team. Starks and Hots. No,
or a detective like buddy cop duo.
I just again the solicit underneath doing a lot of heavy lifting. Is that pronounced Giz? Gizz?
No, it's Fatal's Jizmat, of course.
Yeah, okay, that's what I thought.
I mean, I don't know if it's pronounced that way, but like, I get the confusion. Like, are they going for something that's a double entendre? I mean, can you even call it a double entendre at this point? You're just saying the word jizz. So,
exactly. It's.
Geez.
Yep.
Plus, the word Uranus is in there, so there's a lot of intentional word choice going on.
Definitely.
Yeah. Next up, Batman 152. Chip Zdarsky still there. It's an absolute power tie-in though, so I mean,
yep.
We'll see. Then we have Batman: The Long Halloween, The Last Halloween, issue 0. Oh, is this just going to reprint that special?
I believe so, because it's the one shot, and it's Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb.
Oh, no, that's just perfect because we can read this then. Perfect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Refresh. So that's on sale 9/18, and the Long Halloween special is on sale 9/25 the week before. So
perfect.
Or the week after. So we'll be all ready to go.
Yeah, we'll just read this one shot that week and then issue one the following week. Easy peasy. Absolute Power Super Son, one shot tie-in to the event. We got Cena Grace and Nicole Maines on writing duties and art by John Timms and Travis Mercer. So I presume it'll be 2 stories, with a Dreamer story being the second one, because Nicole Maines only writes Dreamer stories. So
yeah, one day they're gonna show up in a book that's not Dreamer, and we're gonna get floored because they're gonna be all right, stretching the wings a bit.
I don't know. Knowing the irony of the world, it'll be like a weird, like DC will start doing some Warner Brothers horror books, and it'll be a Nightmare on Elm Street just for the irony of like, hey, not doing Dreamer anymore. You're doing Freddy Krueger.
That's funny.
Next up, we got Superman 18. Williamson with Jamal Campbell's back on art, actually, because he did the first arc on Williamson's run. Again, it's a tie-in to Absolute Power. So, having a bunch of the regular books tying into an event is a kind of a double-edged sword. I mean, at least it's the same writer, so they can maybe do something with it. It really all just comes down to, will I like the event? Now, given that Wade is on the event, I suspect I am going to like the event. But while I think the tie-ins are worth having the book stop their regular story for a month, that remains to be seen. Admittedly, I don't really like Williamson's Superman that consistently, so maybe I won't care that much with him. But in fact, same with Chip Zdarsky, even more so with Chip Zdarsky on Batman. So maybe I should just shut up and just enjoy the fact that their stories are getting interrupted. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Although, I don't know, Zdarsky's there's still a lot of hanging threads left from his that I'm sure he's going to get back to. So it's just a brief interruption.
We'll see. Wonder Woman 13, we get another fill-in artist here, Tony S. Daniels, jumping on this one with Tom King.
Also a tie-in.
Which, honestly, that's perfect for taking a break with the artist, as a tie-in to the event. So that one's actually worked out quite nicely. So it saves us getting one of those Gilliam March one-shots again.
Yes.
So, yeah, that overall, that's a plus. I'd say that's a plus. Green Arrow 16... also an Absolute Power tie-in. Although this one, to be fair, has been kind of building to Absolute Power anyway. So, fair enough. Green Lantern's an Absolute Power tie-in. Green Lantern issue 15. God.
Shocked.
Yeah, they're really doing that. All the books are tying into the event thing with this one, aren't they?
Being that we read a lot of DC, it makes sense for certain books to tie in. Like with Green Lantern, we've had Theros running around.
It does with Batman as well, because Failsafe's involved with Waller. But I am just side-eyeing that I'm seeing that in every solicit almost, as that Absolute Power tie-in banner. Absolute Power Origins issue 3. This is obviously the tie-in miniseries by John Ridley. Then we get Absolute Power Task Force 7 issue 6. Also, rounding out that. No, it's not rounded out because there's an issue 7 of that. Okay, fair enough. Is 7 the last
I hope that's the last issue, because having 7 of Team 7 or Task Force 7, it's just everything feels right.
Then we got Batman the Barbarian issue 1 by Greg Smallwood.
Yep. Well, I'm here. This is all I need. This is gonna be my whole personality for that month.
So this is issue 1 of 6. It is bi-monthly, which I think, given there's not an issue 2 solicited, means every other month as opposed to twice a month. But this is Greg Smallwood writing and on art. I don't know what Greg Smallwood's writing's like, but his art, of course, is very, very good.
I read his, which one was it? Vampironica, and he co-wrote it, I think, with his... So I don't know if it's a sister or wife, but it was another Smallwood, I think. And it was decent. I don't know how much of that was him telling the story through the art versus the words and whatnot. The art was fantastic, and the story was fine. I mean, it was vampires in Riverdale, you know.
Okay.
And Ronnie having to be like the Buffy kind of character, which was kind of fun. So I'm very excited for this.
Yeah. It doesn't mention here it's an Elseworld, but it is an Elseworld.
Yeah.
Like, it may not officially have that banner, but it is absolutely an Elseworld.
This showed up. I was wondering what this was because this showed up on the. If you look through the ads on the digitals, they have the Elseworlds list. This one came up on there.
It was on there? Okay, that's
it was,
good to know.
So, yeah.
I just wish they'd label it in the same way that they should label Black Label. And is Elseworld also Black Label? Because I guess it feels like they kind of are, but maybe they're ditching Black Label for Elseworld now. Maybe they'll just switch that over. But regardless, I mean, the cover looks gorgeous. It's so colorful. There's the pinks and the greens and the orange glow of the flame. Like, yeah, you've got a sword wielding Batman in sort of fantasy times. We'll see how it goes. Detective Comics 1089, and Hello Darkness, my old friend, because Gilliam March is on an issue of Ram V's Detective Comics.
And it also says backup art to be determined, which could be Gilliam March. I feel like they're threatening us.
Yeah, so obviously we're getting very much near the end of Ram V's run at this point, and it's upsetting that some of his final issues are going to have art by Gilliam March, but hey ho. I will say the main cover is kind of cool.
Yeah, Evan Kagel.
Yeah, it's kind of like a watercolor sort of just night sky, but you can kind of see Batman sort of vaguely over the moon kind of thing.
Yeah,
this is pretty.
A lot of snowy covers with the rest of them. So.
Oh, we get a lot of Mr. Freeze or something.
That's what I think.
Yeah. Then we got Nightwing Uncovered, which is obviously one of these cover collections. We got Batman Dark Age issue 6. That's the Mark Russell book. Maybe coming to a close with that one. It doesn't say of how many, but it sounds like it may be the last one. And then we got Batman Brave and the Bold issue 17, continuing the anthology book, where we got Michael Conrad and Alex Segura doing stories on this one. Then we got Catwoman 68. We got Birds
Still Teeny Howard.
Still Teeny Howard, yeah. I was just sort of skimming there to see if it said, end of her run or anything like that. Birds of Prey issue 13, with a nice. Okay, I can't make it bigger.
It's frustrating on the site that you can't make it. Oh yeah, you can.
You can, but you have to click on the icon in the corner, not on the image itself.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, nice cover there. But we have Gavin Guidry on the art in this one. But it is Leonardo Romero who did the first arc, who's doing the cover here, which is why it's so pretty. But yeah, obviously we've been digging that book a lot, so that's cool to see. Batman and Robin 13 are by Juan Faraya.
Hey.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay, that'll perk me up for this next arc if we got his art on it. We got Batman Superman World's Finest 31. Oh, is that your Blue Beetle artist on that?
Yep, Gutiérrez.
Yeah. So that's what he's on after Blue Beetle.
Should be good, and it looks like it's Eclipso, so let's go.
I got Harley Quinn 43. I got Poison Ivy 25. What's this? Multiverses Collision Detected. Oh, this is tying into the video game thing, probably. Although notably, it's Brian Q. Miller, who I have been begging for Brian Q. Miller to be back on a DC book for so goddamn long, and they keep giving him these weird, like they give him Smallville for years. I'm like, can we put him on an actual DC monthly book, please? For those of you who don't know, Brian Q. Miller wrote the Stephanie Brown Batgirl series back in like the 2009 to 2011 era, and I love that book. So I want Brian Q. Miller on a regular book again.
Yes.
Uh,
So real quick, that Ivy 25 is like a special 25th issue where they're doing anthology stories. So there's multiple.
it's oversized, yeah. So the main story's by the regular team, but then
right,
some backups, yeah.
So there's oversized stuff there. So I just want to point that out too.
Action Comics 1069. We're into Gail Simone's 3-month tenure on the book, so we'll see how that goes. So I almost thought that was the Gary Frank cover there for a second.
It looks very similar, right?
Yeah, it's not, but I almost thought it was because of the faces of the kids.
Yeah, I think that's Eddie Barrows.
Yeah, we got Trinity Special World's Finest. So this is Tom King and Bill Ortega. So I'm just double checking here. This isn't reprinting the backups because I feel like it could be given the team. But
yes, these are, because I am very familiar with all of these backup stories. Yeah, they talk about, can Lizzie survive Darkseid and his terrifying math? Will an innocent trip to the past for homework change the future? Are Damien John's barks worse than their bite? So I'm pretty sure they're just collecting these backups, which is nice.
That's interesting. I wonder...
It's making Trinity feel like an actual character, not just a piece of the story.
Oh, sure, but that's the backups that already existed. But in terms of like putting it out like this, I wonder if that means they know there's not going to be enough for just a trade with just nothing but them.
Yeah, that's true.
Has the collection of like this book so far included those backups as part of the trade?
I don't know.
I'd be curious to see that. But this is 56 pages, including ad pages and whatever. So, or maybe they're going to do more than one. Doesn't say issue 1 though, so that you wouldn't think it would. So yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because I feel like they're already part of the main Wonder Woman book, and if you care enough about Wonder Woman that you'd want to find out more about this character, you're probably already reading the Wonder Woman book.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird. I guess the main idea of this is something you can hand, because they're kind of younger focused stories, those backups, so you can hand this to a younger girl maybe. And that could be the fun of it, but I do question the audience scope for recollecting those backups on their own as a single issue. But
if you really want to mess with Connor, you should just assign him those guys and his, pay him to read stuff.
I mean, he's here like once every 6 episodes. I don't know if it's even worth your money, to be honest. But
I don't know. I think it would be funny though, making him read Tom King's stories about Lizzie.
No, because I don't want to hear him talk about Tom King books. I don't want to hear about it, right?
I just want him to be miserable. That's all.
I'm okay with him being miserable, but I don't want him being miserable to affect my mood. So
that's fair.
All right, we got Outsiders issue 11. That's continuing. It's the penultimate issue. Yeah, it's the penultimate issue. So it's
coming out on 9/11 with what we know about Jenny Crisis too. That's a dodgy.
Yeah, we got Titans issue 15, which was teasing a major death, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Sejic variant, if that's your bag, and it probably is. So.
Yeah. Oh wow, that looks very nice.
We got Power Girl 13. We have Shazam issue 15. So, fun, pulpy, old school looking cover. Lupacino on the art here for this one again. So that's nice. Then we got the Flash issue 13, which obviously I have dropped, but
yes,
you're still going strong. From the DC Vault, Death in the Family, Robin Lives, issue 3. So that's continuing. My Adventures with Superman, issue 4, by Josie Campbell. Batman 89 Echoes, issue 5. And then we got our Mad Magazine, issue 40. And then we have Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, issue 3. So that's obviously... Oh, no, wait. I was going to say that's obviously every other month, but maybe it isn't, huh? It must be skipping a month, though, because it would be on issue 4 by September.
Right.
If it wasn't. So it must be skipping at least 1 month. But okay. Good to know. This is 12 issues? I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is interesting. Okay, cool. Nice cover as well, for the record. We got DC versus Vampires, World War V, issue 2. Remains to be seen how that shakes out. Same with Dark Knights of Steel All Winter issue 3. Yeah, we're getting sequels to both the Vampire Elseworld and the medieval Elseworld. That's interesting. Plastic Man No More issue 1. So this was announced this week. This is Christopher Cantwell and art by Alex Linz and Jacob Edgar. This is a 4-issue miniseries. Obviously about Plastic Man. So I don't know the creative names all that well, but I'm cool with the Plastic Man mini.
Yeah, I've heard about Christopher Cantwell. I think he's done a couple smaller stuff, but it also says that he's an Eisner. Well, this team is Eisner nominated creative team of Christopher Cantwell and Alex Linz.
Here's part of the solicit just for some context here. Plastic Man when an accident on Justice League mission leads to a catastrophic cellular damage, Plastic Man discovers he might just be out of time and make amends for the past he's tried hard to outrun, or to save the soul of his son, who unfortunately for him might have inherited more than from dear old dad than just his superpowers. So it sounds like Plastic Man's dying, and he's trying to do what he can with these final days.
But yeah, it says it'll bring you the 5 words you thought you'd never read: hard-boiled Plastic Man noir. So, Yeah,
the last Plastic Man book we had was that Gil Simone mini, like 3 years ago, maybe at this point.
3 or 4, yeah.
Something like that. So, we'll see. Then we got a bunch of facsimile editions. Crisis on Infinite Earth 6, Detective Comics 400. We got Nice House by the Sea issue 3. Obviously, we're excited about that. And then Jenny Sparks issue 2, the new Tom King book, continuing. And then we got The Boy Wonder issue 5.
5.
So final issue.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's neat. Having read 2 of those now, I'm glad that it's 5 issues, because part of me thought it was 3 or 4.
Me too.
And I thought, oh, really? We're getting ready to wrap up. But knowing that there's 5 makes me feel better about it. And then we got John Constantine, Dead in America, issue 9. And we got Zatanna, Bring Down the House, issue 4. I kind of like how they're putting all the Elseworlds and Black Label books at the end here. It feels nice that they're all mostly separate. Primer, Clashing Colors, issue 3. Batman and Robin and Howard, Summer Breakdown, issue 3. Batman Scooby-Doo Mysteries, issue 9. And Looney Tunes 280. Plus they're reprinting the Batman Elmer Fudd special.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I didn't get that physically, so they didn't. My shop didn't order enough of it.
Yeah.
So, and then it went out of print real quick, so I like that they're putting it back out there.
Yeah, and they're doing some Batman Day noir editions of some books. They're doing a Batman Day deluxe edition of Long Halloween. So
that is a fantastic cover. The black and white jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, that's the Long Halloween issue 1 Batman Day edition, but they're doing a deluxe, I assume, hardcover. It doesn't actually say if it's a hardcover, but I assume it's a hardcover.
Yeah, deluxe edition. It's $50, so you'd guess.
Yeah. So yeah, and they're doing a Batman Day edition of Batman One Bad Day Riddler, which is the Tom King one, which to be fair, I think was the best one of that bunch.
The best of those,
yeah. So yeah, they're milking Batman Day for September this year with all these specials and reprints and whatnot. So they're also doing Batman Wayne Family Adventures, which is like a special of some kind.
I think those were the internet or the digital first books.
It's like a reprint, but it's yeah. For some reason, these Batman Day things are really light in information under the covers. They're just kind of bare bones.
So these are also saying like 30 cents net per copy. So I don't know. Is this $7.50 net for bundles of 25? So I don't know.
It feels like they're trying to do some kind of like cheap bundle things. It's not quite new free comic book day, but they're doing kind of like a mini free comic book day thing with it, where it's not going to be free, but they should be cheap, and the store should make.
So the thing is, people are going to be celebrating Batman Day. The shops are going to want people in the store. So here, buy a bunch of these. You can hand them out. You know, which is nice. I mean, for, you get 50 copies for $15, to hand out. So,
okay. Now the collections, we got Batman First Night, that hardcover's coming out. So cool. We got DC Finest Wonder Woman Origins and Omens, which is almost 600 pages. It's got Gail Simone, Mark Waid, and Mark Andreyko written stuff inside here. Interesting. And there's DC's finest Superman, the first superhero, which is written by Jerry Siegel.
Yeah. Art by Joe Shuster, Wayne Boring, and Paul Cassidy, and others. So these are like early.
I mean, this is literally just like a recollection of like the Chronicles series. It's like the first 2 volumes of Chronicles. Not quite as much as the Golden Age Omnibus, but like half of it. Because it's got Action Comics 1 to 25 and Superman 1 to 5. So yeah, so weird. And then we got DC's finest Batman Year 1 and 2 as a sort of bundled soft cover. So these seem to be thick soft covers collecting some notable works. Okay. We got Elseworlds Batman Volume 3 2024 edition, Elseworlds Justice League Volume 3 2024 edition, Superman House of Brainiac is getting a soft cover. And we got Superman Exile and Other Stories Omnibus. This is a new edition. This is some post-crisis stuff, isn't it? This is like after the initial run, I think.
It says the late 1980 stories. So yeah. This
is between the initial Man of Steel run and before Death of Superman. It's somewhere in that range.
Well, it says, the late 1980 stories that set the stage for the epic Death of Superman storyline are collected in the special hardcover.
Right, so it's literally just bridging those 2 like series of collections. Okay. And then we got Wonder Woman Golden Age Omnibus Volume 6. So that's a new milestone for Golden Age Wonder Woman. This is as far as they've gotten with this. That's neat. Takes up to Wonder Woman 71 from the initial book, plus whatever Sensation Comics go along with that. Green Lantern by Jeff Johns, Book 3. This is a paperback reprint. And then Book 4, also getting reprinted. So, fun.
That goes up through Final Crisis. So, Rage of the Red Lanterns.
Yeah, sounds about right. Because I think Book 2 is basically Sinestro Corps War, if I remember right.
Yep.
Wildcats Compendium 1, so they're doing one of these massive soft covers, which I always complain about, but hey, there they are. Yep. They're reprinting Absolute Green Lantern Sinestro Corps War. I've always thought that's a weird one to do in that format, because I feel like Johns' Green Lantern's such a run that demands omnibuses or a series of books, but they're never going to do like several absolutes going through the entire run, so it feels weird to me to have... It doesn't feel like a standalone enough story to me. It feels like part of a run, but...
No, yeah, you're right. But I could see why they'd want to do that, because that's where there's a lot of big moments that are going to look great in that absolute format.
Absolute Transmetropolitan Volume 3, new edition. That's obviously just a reprint. Scalped Omnibus Volume 1, so that's a new thing. Jason Aaron's book getting collected in omnibus
format. Issues 1 through 29. So I got through the first 3 trades. So
this will be more than that. This is like the first 6 trades, probably.
Yeah, it got really bleak and heavy, and I was like, I can't be reading this right now. I have a lot of personal stuff going on. So I tend to get back, because I think I have the first 4 trades. I got them on a sale, like a Black Friday sale at the shop. So I'll eventually get back to it.
Scooby-Doo's Greatest Adventures new edition. So there you go. JSA Compendium Volume 1. So they're doing Jeff Johns' JSA run and a 1,300-page softcover. Are you insane?
There's no way you can read that.
Well, you can, but the spine is just going to completely implode on itself. That's just nuts. Volume 2 of Batman, Tom King's run, I Am Suicide, just a new edition of the softcover, so just reprinting. Robin, Son of Batman by Patrick Gleason, the deluxe edition.
Oh, that's a fun story. It's where he gets his like bat creature. That was a lot of fun.
Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Hard Traveling Heroes Omnibus. That's kind of cool actually, because Silver Age Green Lantern is completely collected in omnibus format, and this comes right after that era of Green Lantern. This was what literally came next in the Green Lantern stories, so it's kind of nice that can effectively be Silver Age Green Lantern volume 3 or 4. I don't remember how many volumes the Silver Age era ran, but this was next. This was like right after the end of that collection, so that's pretty cool. Cool. Yeah, it must have been just 2 volumes, because it's only... Yeah, this starts at 76, a Green Lantern. So, yeah, that makes sense. Batwoman Elegy, new edition. They've reprinted this a bunch of times. Batgirl Stephanie Brown, Volume 1.
That's why I just said, ooh.
new edition. It's just a reprint, but if it's hard to find, then good for people to go and get it.
Yeah, but it's Brian Q. Miller, so they're starting to get Pete. They're starting to hear you.
I'm not getting my hopes up. No, I'm not getting my hopes up. But yeah, so that's the first half of that run, issues 1 to 12. And then eventually there's Superman John Kent softcover. I assume they already did this in hardcover because it feels really late otherwise. Birds of Prey, Murder and Mystery, new edition. This is Gail Simone's first chunk of her Birds of Prey issues, I think. And then that wraps up the solicits. So it's nice to see that they're keeping things in print by reprinting stuff at a regular pace. Back when I was collecting physical trades and stuff, I used to always be paranoid about things going out of print, so it's nice that they're keeping up on some of that stuff. Although I do wonder if the print runs are a lot smaller than they used to be, just because, I don't know, they don't want to take risks.
Yeah.
I don't know. So there you go, that's solicits for September. A couple of new things there. The Batman Barbarian, the Plastic Man book sticks out. And if you really want to read some Dan Didio, you've got a option to do so in 2024, bizarrely. So, very good. Right, all right, well, we'll get on to the books then for the week. Kicking off with Batman and Robin, issue 10, Legacy number 76. Joshua Williamson writing with Simone DeMeo and Nikola Čižmešija on the art.
We're getting better. We're getting better at that name.
Yeah, so this is just me reading this out of the two of us.
Yep.
So this actually wraps up the whole Man-Bat story, this issue. And it's not a bad issue. I think there's some nice pages in here that sort of build up. I think it does kind of exemplify my feelings with Williamson as a whole, though, which is that I always feel like he has ideas, and then instead of like exploring the ideas as much as he could, he just finishes the idea and moves on. And I kind of felt that here again to some extent in a few different ways. One being that this was the first issue at all that I remotely get into what Man-Bat was doing. This whole plan to unleash bats across the city. That part of it with the poison bats, I'm not that excited by it. But what was fun though was Batman and Robin chasing him through the rooftops and fighting his followers. The action scenes were good, and I was like, oh well, maybe we're going to build up to like things all, crescendoing to some big showdown or something, or whatever. And it cuts to Flatline taking Shush to the hospital because she's hurt from last issue, and all that is fine. But the thing is that by the end of this issue, they have just beat Man-Bat, and relatively easily. Man-Bat's whole threat doesn't even really come into play. Instead, Shush gives Flatline a gun that has gas pellets in it, right? It was the same stuff that made all the bats target Batman in the first place. So she gives it to Robin, and Robin throws it to Batman when he's fighting Man-Bat. So he fires it, so this gas swarms around Man-Bat, and then all the bats come and attack him, and it forces him to transform back into Kirk Langstrom, and that's it. So it's over quickly, and the pages are good. Like the page with all the bats biting Man-Bat is a pretty cool page, right? Especially since you've got the red eyes of some of the bats, but you've also got the red little splotches of blood coming off Man-Bat himself. It's a solid couple of things, and then Robin fires Mr. Freeze's gun at all the bats because Damian's really concerned this issue that he doesn't want to hurt the bats. He wants to cure them and stop them from hurting anyone, but he really doesn't want to hurt them. Which I'm not against, but it just kind of feels like whatever. But yeah, all of the stuff that we spent so much time setting up with, the head teacher being Damian's old trainer, like that's it. It's over because like she revealed herself last issue very quickly, and in this issue she's been taken away by the police. That's it. So while it still teases that we're still going to maybe have Damian in school occasionally, like he's not going to leave. It doesn't sound like we're going to be focusing on that in the next arc. The next arc's going to be on Dinosaur Island because Damian's bat creature, was it Goliath, shows up at the end.
Goliath, I was just talking about him.
Yeah. He shows up at the end. Damian's all happy to see him, but he's got like a little device with a message from Henry Descartes' granddaughter, Maya, who's like, hey, Damian, I found him. He's not dead. and then the last page is Bane sitting on top of a dead dinosaur on Dinosaur Island. So
it's on site with Bane now. You don't be touching the dinosaurs. Damian loves animals, right? Like that's what we know. Bat Cow, Goliath, Ace. I'm sure they have a cat.
I'm sure the dinosaur tried to eat him. Okay, I'm sure it was self-defense.
You can run away, Bane. You juice head.
Bane's not going to run away. You know this.
Yes, I know.
So I mean, the other thing of note really is like Flatline and Damien having this big goodbye, where Damien's like, "Oh, did you just come to Gotham to like deal with your sister?" And she's like, "Maybe," and kind of smiles, and runs off. But she does not tell Robin, because she wanted to come to Gotham to tell Robin that she's seeing dead Ra's al Ghul, right? Because she's being haunted by Ra's al Ghul's ghost. And when she runs away, Ra's al Ghul pops out and says, "You didn't tell him about me." And she's like, "Oh, I can't burden him. Damien needs to be protected from you and from me." So clearly we're not done with Flatline. It's building to more story with her, which is fine. Honestly, one of the best things that Williamson's ever really done is Damien's relationship with her.
Yep.
So hopefully that does come back in a big way. But it seems like we're pivoting hard left next arc to this Dinosaur Island story, which is potentially good, potentially a fine thing. I just feel like you spend so much time building up that one of the teachers might be this villain, and it turned out two of the teachers were someone.
This is what Williamson does, though. He sets so many things up only to let it down.
Yeah, like, once we knew the head teacher was this League of Assassins trainer person, like, and she'd been training a few select boys to be badasses, like, I could have done a whole arc with Damien going to school where he knows who she is and she knows who he is, but they're like, like holding back.
Chicken.
Yeah, they're playing chicken and they're like trying to like outsmart each other. Like, I see so much potential in that being a plot line, but it's just already over, and that's it. So Williamson once again doesn't know how to like explore the ideas he brings up. He just brings up the idea and then quickly moves on.
And it's a shame because a lot of his ideas are good. Like maybe he just needs to stop writing for a second and be an editor, and let's flesh out these ideas. Because like you said, I would want to read that book. If this got closer back to Robin, like this is sounding like I might jump back on for Dinosaur Island, or jump on. I don't think I ever actually read the first issue. Anyway, because I like Goliath and the whole, Bane versus dinosaurs thing is whatever. Those are some great ideas.
Yeah, I just feel like he's a kid who plays with toys and gets bored before he has time to actually.
So when you're looking at like a comic geek, you can click on like user reviews. And this is the kind of, I guess, the summation of Williamson as of late. And it says, so this was the conclusion of the arc. Makes sense. Was it good? Was it terrible? No. And I feel like that's been Williamson in a nutshell for a while.
Yeah, it's something that's becoming more apparent the more I read from him, is just how much he just moves on from things without actually exploring them. And it's another guilty thing here. The art is pretty solid throughout. There is a difference between the two artists, which is noticeable, but it's not too bad ultimately. The styles fit well enough together.
Are they split per the story? So like the Man-Bat stuff is more
no, not really. No, I wouldn't say so. It just kind of shifts over at a certain point. Basically, by the time you get to the end of the Man-Bat fight, I think we've switched over to the second artist.
Okay.
And then from there on, I think it's just them for the rest of it.
Dang.
But, I mean, some of the art is nice. The Man-Bat being swarmed by bats is good. The stuff with Bruce and Damien having a late breakfast on the roof because they want to bond, and then that's when Goliath shows up. Like, some of those pages do look nice. Like, there's a full moon behind Goliath when he appears. So, I mean, this is thoroughly just an okay book. And although the things that annoy me about Williamson's writing are only just going to continue to like annoy me more, I feel like the more he keeps making the same mistake, the more I'm going to be annoyed at him. But as it is, it's fine. It's a 6 out of 10. I'll leave it at that. So very good. Green Lantern issue 12, legacy number 548. Jeremy Adams writing with Xermanico on the art. Now we're talking. So
Yeah.
I have been really enjoying this book. Obviously, we built up last issue that Carol was probably going to end up intervening, which she does. Although the book starts with the sort of the evil lantern. Well, I say evil. The lanterns that are working for the United Planets try to take in Kyle and some of the others.
I think Theros calls them the Spectrum Lanterns.
Okay,
so I think that's what we should call them from now, because they can shift within the spectrum. They're not just green or.
It's a good enough name as any. But Kyle's, on his knees, he's freaking out, and they're trying to explain to the other these Spectrum Lanterns that he's not quite right. There's something not right with him just now. And then Kyle just yells stop, and a burst of energy comes from him. And notably, what this does though is that it takes away all of the lantern power from the Spectrum Lanterns. They're lying there without their energy suits or anything like that. And notably, one of them is like a big mouse in like a bubble. Who in the previous page, the rest of his arms and his legs were just green constructs. Like he sort of made himself like a mech suit almost. So
he's a fish, Pete, not a mouse.
Is he? He looks like a mouse. When he's standing up, that head looks like a mouse head to me.
Oh no, that looks like a fish to me. Look down. He has no other limbs or anything. Like those are fins.
I mean, I can see it now you're saying it, but if you just showed me that head, I would say that was meant to be a mouse head.
Yeah. Well, regardless, he has nothing to stand on anymore, so he just falls over in his little bubble tube.
Yeah, he's just like, that's what made me notice it. I went, wait a minute, what's this bubble thing? And I went back a page and went, oh yeah, the rest of his thing's just a construct. Fair enough.
I also got that Kyle yelling stop. Just the way that Xermanico has that page laid out, and then with the color, it like the white blows everything else out, and it almost like affects everything on the other side of the page too. Just a real good layout.
Yeah. And, Kyle's narration is there for that first page where he's basically confused and it's like the spectrum of all the colors is like messing with his head and he doesn't understand. It's almost like the fact that these Spectrum Lanterns exist and all the power batteries are merging or whatever is messing because he has a connection to all of them.
I'm wondering too if it's because he was Ion, right? So he had the green energy in him, right? Because the Ion was one of the, what do we call those? When they had like the parallax, right? The entities, I guess. He had the green entity in him, so I'm wondering if he has a closer connection, and that's what he's feeling because he says it's like a rainbow and he can't grab it, right?
Well, I was thinking that was more a reference to the fact that he was a White Lantern, right, for extended time.
Oh yeah.
And the White Lantern obviously is all the different spectrums
all
combined.
All of them together, right? Okay. No, I forgot he was a White Lantern. Because I know each of the other guys have also held other rings, right? But I forgot he was all of them.
Yeah, he was literally the entire spectrum. So that's like a little tease at the start to sort of give us something that something important with Kyle's going on. But the main bulk of the issue is back to Hal and the others who are fighting all the Durlans, because obviously it turned out that all of the members of the United Planets Council had all been replaced with Durlans who had shapeshifted, and that's where we pick up with them fighting. And they're trying as best they can, but ultimately they're losing. Baz goes down, Joe goes down. Hal gets to a point where he's like, okay, I can't help win this fight. The best I can do is get away and get help. So Hal has to run, which is very out of character for Hal. So it's serious. Yeah,
Hal does not run for much.
Yeah, so it's telling you just how much this force is from Tharis and the Durlans. So 3 blindfolded lanterns.
The Unseeing, which is that council that we met like 2 or 3 issues ago.
Yeah, the Unseeing, yeah.
The prophecy people.
They're waiting for him in space, and they form a big sort of dragon-style construct, and they're going to win. But that's when the pink light, if you will, the sapphire light, I suppose I should say, appears. And then when Hal realizes what he's seeing, he's like, "Oh, you guys are in for it." And yeah, we get the big full-page spread of Carol yelling, "Let him go!" So yeah, as the last issue built up effectively, this is very much Carol showing up to save his ass. What I liked about this is that one of the things she does is she makes a construct of a car and slams it into the Unseeing. And I think what I liked about that is I'm pretty sure that's the same car that she was in with her fiancé a couple issues ago, and that felt a little symbolic to me that she was using that car that she has with him as like a weapon to save Hal. I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but
I was thinking too is that Hal stole that car from the principal and took him to Vegas.
Oh, it could be that car. You know what? That's also a valid.
But I don't know if it's the same make and model and stuff. But that's what I took from it, was like, because her memories of that time is what's driving her.
Yeah, either way, it feels like it's referencing stuff that he's already set up before in the run. So she actually has to carry Hal away because he's too weak. So she zooms off, and notably, the Unseeing are like, wait a minute, that power battery is destroyed. How does she have that energy? Obviously, Tharis also talks about in this issue, how does Hal have green energy? It's not coming from the same place that all the Spectrum Lanterns are getting energy. Where is his energy coming from? Those sneaky Guardians, did they have another power battery somewhere? So it's setting up right now that he's becoming aware, or at least guessing, that there might be another power battery, and that he wants to find it, because it's going to be a big deal if he doesn't.
Yes.
So,
which makes me think too, were there other, the Zamorans did the same thing the Guardians did, where there's multiple batteries,
possible.
But yeah, when she shows up, and just that the purple on black, it looks fantastic. The violet, I should say, because it's the violet light of love.
Yeah. So no, it looks great. She zooms away with him and gets away and takes him back to his trailer. And we get a lot of sweet moments of her holding him and him being kind of out of it. Although she does also complain about his the state of his place. Although before we get to that, as this is where all the Tharis stuff comes in. So Tharis pulls a Joker in Dark Knight, where he's upset that Hal got away. So the 3 Spectrum Lanterns that he'd sent after him. Okay, you're 3 to blame. And first of all, you're switching to red because you should be angry that he got away. And 2, only one of you get to stay on, so fight amongst you to see who survives. So we just get like a page where they're fighting in the background, and then at the end, like, there's the ones left who's killed the other 2 aliens. So it gives you a sense of how he's ruling everything. But the other big thing here is that he contacts Amanda Waller for help and says, hey, I need Hal Jordan. We suspect he's back on your planet. Do what you're told. Now, Waller does not like being told to do something by an alien, but he makes it clear that he's more powerful than her, and hey, if you piss me off, maybe I won't consider Sector 2814 to be left alone anymore. So he's whipping it out and flaunting the length a bit, as it were, in terms of power. So this is interesting. They also give you a quick reference here that the reason why in House of Brainiac they were able to fly through the blockade is because Waller or Tharis had made a deal to let them through. They kind of just reference it quickly here. They don't explain it too much. They just kind of say, hey, we let that go through. And we know that Waller was in cahoots with Brainiac, so that's why she would have wanted that to go through. So this was a nice little bit of like connecting up different things that are all supposed to be feeding into each other. Here, I thought. But yeah. So Waller's been tasked with finding Hal to keep that relationship with Tharis healthy. But like I said, Carol is disgusted with the state of Hal's living quarters.
I got there in time to grabbed you, and I think this milk has turned to cheese. Like, man, you gotta get rid of that milk. Keep it fresh. You can't let it solidify, man.
I'll tell you what, though, I wasn't expecting Carol to have already had the realization that she wants to not be with the fiancé. She's like, hey, I was literally about to get married, but you know what? I've realized that I don't want someone who's predictable and safe. I kind of, like, you being who you are is what I've always liked about you.
She loves the mess that is Hal Jordan.
So it's kind of a sweet moment. It's it's all very nice, but just as he's about to say I love you, there's a big boom explosion, and the cliffhanger is King Shark and some others, I presume sent by Amanda Waller, coming to look for him. So that's the cliffhanger, which I appreciate. I like that we're back in Earth again. I like that we've done so much good world building, and I assume we'll still cut to space. We'll still cut to Tharis. We'll probably still cut to what Kyle and the other lanterns that we've now introduced into the story are doing. But I like that it's grounded it again on Earth and be like, okay, now here's this side of it where it's still a part of the main story, because it's still, Waller's still hunting them for the larger story at play with Tharis, but we're going to spend some time here on Earth and probably give Carol and Hal a chance to bond through fighting and so on. So yeah, I'm loving the pacing of this story. I think this is night and day versus Williamson. I think this is moving through its ideas at the right pace. I'm liking the concepts that it's bringing up.
I like that Adams has been like seeding things a little bit, like the idea that Hal's ring was different, and it's because the secondary lantern is hidden on Earth, right? So like the whole limit that he put on himself because he thought he couldn't leave the planet, right? We know why that is. And then here, I think this is the first time that we've seen that Theros is wearing a United Planets ring.
Yeah.
That seems to be able to shift the spectrum, because it's almost like he's the one that activates their red, you know. So the fact that their rings seemingly are being controlled by this one ring, you know, adds a bit of a thing to it.
One ring to rule them all. Someone said the joke. Okay, stupid Lord of the Rings. I
was gonna walk past it. I didn't know how else to say it.
I knew everyone was going to be like, "Hey, Lord of the Rings." That's what that sounds like. I do think it's interesting though, the idea that someone has effectively created a new version of the Lantern Corps where they can actually control all the lanterns. Like imagine if the Guardians had this ability to just control all the Green Lanterns. It's like, it would be chaos. Well, it would be chaos. It would be like a dictatorship.
And they've done that before and things. I mean, that was the whole Alpha Lantern concept, right?
Oh yeah, well they tried it with one. Yeah, but it seems like Theros can control all of the lanterns like this.
Yeah, and they have access to all the different spectrums, or the whole spectrum. You know, it's not just green like the Alpha Lanterns were. So, and also, you know, Sinestro's been gone for a minute, so I wonder what he's up to. Because I can't imagine he's gonna be pleased with any of this.
Yeah, he'll be back. I imagine Sinestro will end up being a bit of a frenemy here, because I don't think Sinestro is going to be pro Theros and
because he was working against Theros when he was on Earth.
Yeah,
you know. So he saw Hal Jordan living a life and couldn't let it go. So he's like, oh crap.
I think what I like about this as well is that it's bringing in the whole spectrum of colors, but without dwelling on them so much that it feels that we're sitting going through. Because, you know, after Johnsy's run, when he introduced all that stuff, it felt like every single run had to be constantly jumping between all the different cores and expanding the lore of the spectrums. I feel like here it's using it as a tool as part of the story, and we don't have to explain it because it's already established, but it also doesn't feel like we're dwelling on it, so we can just still enjoy the character stories that are being told in the politics of like what's going on in space with the United Planets. Like, it feels very focused, and the spectrum's only being used as like a tool by the villains to enhance the story, as opposed to it being, we're just going to like nerd out and keep expanding this forever and ever.
Yeah, no, it's playing with the ground rules that we already know what the red, you know, does, right? We already kind of know what the violet does and all of that. So when they're used here, it's just for a sense of familiarity. I like that idea that the spectrum is being used as a tool, because Theros is not corrupting, but he's misusing all of this, right? Like, there's a reason why all the power got shifted amongst all the different, you know, entities and stuff, right? So if this one guy has it all, what's that going to do? You know, the absolute power corrupts absolutely and all that stuff. But like, if he can affect his soldiers, you know, I don't want to call all the Lantern soldiers, but that's what they feel like.
What's so funny about you saying that is that Theros, this could potentially, like, I don't think this is the story of absolute power, but like Theros having all this power could be the story of an event called Absolute Power.
Yeah,
it would make sense, but it's funny.
But what I mean is, like, he can control the emotions essentially of his soldiers, right?
Yeah.
He clicks on the red and tells them to fight it out, you know, and then when he wanted them to go grab the other lanterns, he had them tap into the orange. Right? And now it gets to the point, it's like, well, this is not exactly voluntary anymore at this point, which at least with the Guardians, they had, you know, the Lanterns had the choice. And that's why, you know, Hal and Guy and all of the rest of them always seem like a thorn in the Guardian side. And it seems like Theros is trying to get rid of that, but at what cost? So, but yeah, and ultimately, what's his plan too with all the Durlans? Like, this is some invasion style stuff. Like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you know?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But I've been loving this arc. Been loving the run. Yeah, I know I've said so many nice things about it. I don't want to repeat myself. So, obviously the art here is very good. Xermanico, like that last page with King Shark and everyone else looks fantastic. I think the stuff in space looks great. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think Xermanico really excels. Like that page before the last page where it's inside the trailer and it's the lights coming in the windows, and you have the high contrast like on the characters, and we get the facial acting, the expressions. I think that's where Xermanico really shines.
Yeah, it's in the kind of mundanity, right?
Yeah.
Like they're just having a conversation as Hal's waking up. So, but yeah,
I think mundanity is kind of an unfair word, just in the sense that it's like the conversation is not mundane, the conversation is emotional, and I think that comes across in the faces.
Yeah, but when I say mundane, it's like this is just everyday stuff, right? They're not doing, it's not big actions. Hal's asleep in his trailer when we see him.
Yeah,
so.
Because the stuff in space is still very good, but it's a bit more just typical Green Lantern art in a way, almost.
Yeah. Well, see, and I also like that they're playing with actual light, right? So like when Carol makes her getaway, right, and they're like, oh man, that shouldn't be possible, everything turns white again, right? So like the colors and Xermanico are working really well together to give this a sense of like wonder and awe too, because everything's kind of blown out and almost blinding. So, but yeah, it's a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. There is a backup, which is a continuing last month's backup, which I did not read, so I didn't read this one either.
Yeah, so it turns out this Lobo guy that Guy thought he was trying to bring in is not Lobo at all. It's just a stray Xarnian that got out and has been doing the wrestling thing against Omega Bam Man. And so Guy is forced to live in the Xarnian bottle city where Brainiac can take them in and out, and has implanted devices near their spine that will essentially bring them back to the bottle. So it's definitely expanding, Brainiac's hold over these Xarnians, but it doesn't quite add up because, some of them have gotten loose in Power Girl and all this other stuff. So did he just implant them in all of them, or just in Guy and this fake Lobo? But so in order to fit in, Guy has been driving a bus through this Xarnian bottled city, and he hates it, and he says like it's worse than working with Booster Gold. And the fake Lobo brings him in and is like, hey, I can get us off of here. I know this place where they can take these devices out of us, which leads to them going to this like kind of hideout place where one of the Xarnians is like in a suit, so he really stands out as not looking like a biker. And on the way there, in order for Guy to fit in better, they paint his face to look like a Xarnian. So he's got the dark eye black on, his hair's still red and whatnot. He's got like a spiky look to it versus the bowl cut we've seen. They end up knocking that guy out, and then they're not able to find that device right away. But Guy finds something called the Eye of Krona, and it's like this jewel that has all these different colors in it. And Guy's like, well, everyone thought this was a myth, but this might change everything for the Lanterns. So he pockets that. The fake Lobo finds the device, which looks like a thermos with a needle coming out of it, which then he tells Guy to stand still, and he stabs him with it and pulls out the devices. So they end up shaking hands, and they end up getting pulled out of that out of the bottled city by Brainiac. So it ends with the fake Lobo trying to teleport back to the wrestling company because he wants to give it a go. And he goes, well, maybe don't go by Lobo. I think you need another name. And he goes, oh, I was thinking about Warrior. What do you think? And Guy kind of thinks about it for a minute, and before he can answer, the transporter is for the Xarnian attack squad is activated. So that's what pulls them out, and then it ends with them falling through the sky. Guy still has the face paint on. So ultimately, it's not as much as a tie-in as much as it's a Guy and Xarnian adventure, which is fine. I mean, Adams does his best trying to make it fit in, but I feel it's almost to a detriment because they're trying to make it, him not being Lobo, but just being something that looks a lot like Lobo is kind of funny. But ultimately, it doesn't add up into, the story of House of Brainiac. So, but yeah, that was it. The art looks fine. It's Maguire doing, Justice League International style guy, and all those Arnians look fine. They look all similar, but I think that's the point, right? You have to look at their haircuts and what they're wearing, but yeah. So that was that story.
All right. Well, in that case, that's great. The book, what are you giving Green Lantern, Matt?
I'm giving Green Lantern an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 8.5 as well. I think I liked last issue just a bit more overall. I think it was a better constructed issue overall because it felt like both stories were building to a big climax. Whereas this one inherently, because it picked up where the fight had started, half of the issue is like fighting, which is fine. It's good fighting, but it's inherently less exciting overall as an issue, I would say. But still very good. Loving the run. So.
I also want credit for not jumping into Huey Lewis and the News Power of Love at all during that with Carol.
I will give you no such credit.
Damn it.
The fact that you had to tell me that is a failure enough.
Oh, I was fighting it every chance I got when we were talking about Carol. So.
All right. Outsiders issue 8. Colin Kelly and Jackson Lanzing with Robert Carey on the art. So, this issue focuses on Batwoman and Jenny Hex, funnily enough. It explains how Batwoman got there about halfway through the issue, but the issue just begins with almost like a sort of standoff style moment with Batwoman walking down sort of the desert road, the sun's behind her, and Jenny's pointing a gun at her, and they're in this small desert town. It's called Zero, the town. And
Zero, Texas.
Zero, Texas. And it's a bit of a standoff, and it's like, wait, why, what's going on here? And it turns out the story's actually about the fact that Jenny's been haunted by several ghosts, and only her special gun that she found in the trunk, which this was kind of interesting to me, is that it finally kind of answered one of the things that was in the trunk back in her introduction in Young Justice. So that's interesting. But this gun that she has is the only thing that actually deals with the ghosts. Doesn't get them permanently, but it does make them go away. So you get these blasts of light whenever she fires on them. So her and Batwoman end up running to an old garage or something like that, and getting inside. And they get to talking, and Jenny's like, how did you even end up here? And Batwoman explains that it's a mutual friend. So we flash back to 2 weeks ago. Because remember, of course, Batwoman quit the team.
She quit, she wasn't having any of this multiversal shenanigans, continuity. She's had enough.
Yeah, she just flat quit. But 2 weeks ago, she got a call from Jenny Crisis, the woman from the Century Baby issue, who is out somewhere in a war-torn country using her abilities to try and help. But she's like, hey, she explains that whenever she's like not in like a populated area, she can sort of tune into the vibe of the world a bit better, and basically she can sort of sense things calling out, or people specifically calling out for help. Not that they're actually asking for help in terms of choice, but just the idea that she can tell that someone needs help. And effectively she explains that she's getting this vibe from I mean, I don't even know if she knows her name, but basically Jenny Hex, and like, hey, there's this problem in a town, she needs help, and your team should be on this, because that Jenny's calling her thinking she's still part of the team. And we see that obviously Jenny Crisis is doing well with her powers. She seems to take out some trucks with the big energy blast, so she's getting to grips with what she does. She's
adjusting to it now, right? Like, I like seeing that, is that they introduced her and she was a complete mess. She didn't understand what was going on, but now that she understands, she's kind of embraced her role. And it's almost like she's trying to get Kate to embrace that role as well. Like, what you have to do. Are you going to help me or not?
Yeah, and I like how she describes it as well. She says, there's this girl, and there's like there's a gun, and like there's echoes like through the reverbing through the world with every single shot of this gun. Like the way she described it was kind of like vague, but kind of cool. So it comes back to them sitting in present day, and Jonah Hex's ghost shows up, and effectively what we find out here, and I will do a little critique here, because it does the thing that I hate in comic books, where they decide they want to have part of the story as if it's an old journal or something like that. So we get like 3 or 4 pages of like prose of like Jonah Hex's diary, effectively.
So I get where you're coming from on that one, like that Morrison Joker issue from way back in their Batman run. I fully get that. Here, because of the state of what the story that Kelly and Lanzing are telling and how it plays with the art form, I don't mind it here. I don't want them to do this all the time like it's a cheap trick.
Don't get me wrong. This is by far not the worst offender of this. There was an issue American Vampire did a few months ago that was way worse than this. This isn't too much text per page, and at least I get that they're going for a vibe, but it's still, a part of me is just kind of arced where I'm like, I'm here for a comic book. Stop giving me paragraphs and paragraphs. Right? But it's 3 pages, and effectively what we find out is that Jonah Hex found this gun, and once he started using it, every person the gun kills, their ghost effectively gets tied to the gun and will haunt the person who wields it. And that became a thing, and this was the gun that ultimately killed him. Now, I don't know if he specifies that he committed suicide with it.
That's what he hints at. I don't think he outright says it, but he hints at it.
Yeah, but that was the only way to finally like finish it, right? So Jenny tells the story of how she ended up using it, like, because she wasn't supposed to use it, but it was in the trunk.
Yeah, because she had the space guns, right?
Yeah, she had
like blasters.
She had other stuff, but there was a burglar in her apartment, and she just kind of on instinct went for the gun and shot the guy who broke in, and that tied her to the gun. So now she's been haunted by all these ghosts, and you know, it's actually, yeah, I mean, it basically says this will never go away until you're killed by the gun. But Batwoman's got another idea. Batwoman grabs the gun and says she's a bat with a gun, and then shoots Jonah Hex with it, basically tying the ghost to her as well. And she's like, what are you doing? You're crazy. So we get these panels of like Batwoman just running away from the ghosts, like on a bike, and like firing the gun back and all the rest of it. But yeah, basically she gets surrounded by the ghost out in the desert. She's taken this burden from Jenny, because my assumption here from this is that she's actually inherited the curse, so it's not affecting Jenny anymore. Yeah. Jenny's now free of it.
It's almost like It Follows, right? Where
a little bit,
it's been passed on, right? Like, so now the ghosts are haunting her, and that image of her going through and just all the different blams, right? And then you turn the page, and it is like something out of a Western where she's far off and she's surrounded.
She's surrounded by
nowhere to go.
It looks like hundreds of ghosts. It looks like she's surrounded by a crowd in a big circle. And that's when she calls the outsiders, right? And obviously she just leaves a message. She doesn't actually get to talk to anyone. And it looks like something bad's happened to the others, because we see Luke's glasses on the ground, and we see, like, you know, some paper on fire. And then the last page is this big cannon, and it says, "Next, the lost city of Cannon." Now, I chuckled at this because it made me think of Cannon Films, the studio.
Yes.
When I got a chuckle thinking about them going to investigate the films of Cannon and like all the bad Chuck Norris movies they made.
Yes.
But yeah, so yeah, but it's this idea. She looks down at the gun, and she calls them and says, "Look, I ended up in a ghost story. I didn't really want to buy into all this stuff, that Drummer, or whatever her name is, as she puts it, is spouting. But I want to help solve the situation, right? But, you know, so this is the issue that's very focused. It tells its own story, which I thought was very good at, and then kind of motivates Kate by the end to actually reach out to the others and like, hey, I've got this weird situation. I think I may actually need your help now, and maybe I was wrong to leave the team, right? It kind of inspires her to reach back out.
The last line is about, none of us can afford to go it alone, right? So she tried to get away from all this weird stuff, and the weird stuff found her anyways, right? So why it's trying to pull her back in, and that they're going to be stronger together than they are alone.
And for drama's sake, of course, when she does call them, it might already be too late, and like something bad's happened to them. Now, obviously, I think they'll be fine ultimately, but
I think ultimately somebody got upset and tried to throw the journals in the fire, and now they're going to go get water to put the fire out. Personally, you know,
I feel like there's a more ominous tone here at the end than that.
Of course there is, but you know, and this whole velocity of canon with what Kelly and Lanzing have been doing with the story form of, I'm wondering if this is going to be like, because it looks like a fortress type city of like how things have to adhere to certain canon, and if not, they get blown up by that gigantic actual canon, you know. But yeah, I loved all the Ginny stuff. The page with when Jonah Hex first shows up, before all the journal entries, and she goes, "Holy," and then it has it blacked out. You're him. You're Jonah Hex. And just that whole moment, it made Jonah Hex seem like a big deal, right? Like, you don't have to know who Jonah Hex is, right, or anything like that. But the fact that Jenny's acting like that, to this ghost that's walking through, it made it seem like a big deal. And then when they start talking after all the journal pages, this is where it hints that he turned the gun on himself, because he tells Jenny, "I'm sorry, but you can never put that damn thing down. End of the day, the last life it took has to be yours." So basically, this curse was done, right? And that's why the gun was in the trunk. And then when Jenny used it for self-defense, right, it got now passed on to her. So yeah, it definitely made me more interested in reading Jonah Hex books, because that's one blind spot in DC that I've never jumped into. So, but yeah, this is Outsiders is still continuing to be a lot of fun to read.
Yeah, I think it's bouncing around different things. I liked how focused this was in one simple idea. I think all my favorite issues of this book have been the ones that have been more focused, whether it was the Century Child issue, this issue, or the issue where they go to the town of like out of continuity or whatever it was called. Those have been kind of my favorites, and I think it's interesting that this, I actually felt like it advanced Ginny's story more than Young Justice ever got around to doing, which is kind of weird, but I mean, that's just one of the complaints we had of that book at the time, sadly, despite wanting to really like it. So, thanks, Bendis, I guess. But, yeah, I thought this was an interesting story, and the idea that this is now something that Batwoman's got to deal with going forward is kind of interesting. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But we know it's only 12 issues now, right? That's been confirmed. So we got 4 issues left. Yep, that's right. So
that's how math works.
Yeah, it's building to something, right? I mean, I think it does feel like it is building to something, whatever that story may be. The art here is pretty solid. I think. All the stuff with all the Western style stuff is good. I mean, obviously the stuff with Jenny Crisis and like her letting off her powers is fun, but to me, where it really shined was the standoff at the start, the bright sunlight, all the Western style cinematic framing of the close up of the eyes and then the gun and all the rest of it. What I also especially liked is when it cut to the flashback with Kate 2 weeks ago. The color palette completely changes, because it goes from all the Western colors of the oranges and the sunlight and all that to blues and greens, the cold,
cooler
middle of the city of Gotham kind of thing.
Also, I didn't expect Kate to live in like a sad bachelor's apartment. That's just like a couch and Chinese food on the being left out. So I thought that was kind of funny.
I don't know, maybe it's a gay thing. maybe lesbians are like single bachelors.
Maybe I just thought with her military training and all this other stuff, like it'd be Spartan, but it wouldn't be as messy and sad looking.
Well, she's missing a video game console sitting on the floor.
Yeah, with the TV that's on the floor too.
Yes, like who needs furniture? You just need a TV and the video game console.
My brother lived like that for like 3 months so, when he moved back out from Hawaii. So, he's like, why do I need to look up at the TV? I can just sit at the same level. And I was like, all right, man, you do you. I'm not judging. I mean, I was judging, but not to his face.
So no, solid issue. It's been a very intriguing book. What are you going to rate Outsiders, Matt?
I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I think I'm even tempted to go up to the 0.5, but I think just for those journal pages making me read more, I'm going to say 8 out of 10.
I got into this to read pictures, not to read words.
Yes, come on, it's a comic book, damn it. All right,
fun.
Next up, Blue Beetle issue 10, Josh Trujillo on the Writing and Adrián Gutiérrez on the art. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah. So Pinnacle is running roughshod over the city, and it doesn't look like there's any chance. And Jaime's getting...
MGF was in Blue Beetle, but all right.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Gonna give people the reminder that Noldar was the Green Beetle, right? And that Ted's sister, why am I drawing a blank on her name? It's Veronica. Yeah. No, Victoria. Victoria Accord essentially corrupted it, so now it's trying to do its processing regardless, and it's heading down to take out the Horizon, who are the Reach refugees, right? The whole series started off with. And so Jaime is trying to figure out how they're going to do this. And as he's trying to like steel up the nerve in the rain, staring up at this kaiju-sized robot, he hears from Ted. And he says, Jaime, I have an update, and him and Victoria are on the way. One small thing on the art, they make Ted Cord look just absolutely jacked in one of the panels. It's kind of funny, because when I think of him as Blue Beetle, I think that he's kind of just a regularly shaped human, right? He's got a lot of technology. He's not Batman, who's spending a lot of time at the gym, getting big. So I thought that was kind of funny. But as Ted and Victoria are talking to Jaime, they head down into her lab, and she's made a new version of the bug, and it's been upgraded, and it's a little bit more sleek. And Ted's like, well, the Horizon and Jaime need us, so let's go. And Victoria's like, well, no, Pinnacle's doing what it's supposed to. Like, we can try to stop it, but it's kind of inevitable. And Ted kind of is like, wait, no, you know what? I'm tired of you doing this. You're coming with me whether you want to or not. You have a lesson to learn. And so Jaime tries to hold off the Pinnacle robot until Ted can get there, and he uses the energy to create like this big cannon and shoots a hole right through Pinnacle. But Pinnacle's programming and nanotechnology and stuff heals it before Jaime can do anything. And that's when Pinnacle decides to hit Jaime with his own beam, smacks him aside, and Jaime lands into the water. And because he got direct hit by that beam, his Beetle starts to go into preservation mode, and is like, our life support's compromised. We don't have too long. And the Horizon go to make their last stand, and they try to reach through to the Green Beetle, Noldar, to the actual device, and it's not listening because now it identifies as Pinnacle. So it starts to launch missiles at the Horizon and their ship that's in like the bay, Palmyra City, and they end up getting Dynasties to try to hold it off by blowing up these missiles. The Blue Beetles show up, the second bug, and they realize that from Victoria's plans that if they get close enough and hit it with a certain rhythm of energy, the nanobots will be disrupted, and it can't reform. So that's going to be the best shot. So what Ted's going to do is come up behind it and get into the spot, and then have Jaime, if he can. And they don't realize that he's back under the water, not being able to, in life support system essentially. So they go for it anyways. Jaime gets, digs deep enough as as his scarab is kind of trying to tell him, like, we only have one shot. Make this count, or else it's us. And it ends up working because as he jumps up, he yells at Pinnacle. He goes, "You don't know who I am, but I'm Jaime Reyes, guardian of Palmyra City, a protector, a hero, a friend, and an alien," right? And that's really, it really gets where this book has sung is it's not just like the outer space aliens, right? It's the type of immigrant, and that's kind of what his stories always resonated with me, right? Is like he is this Latino kid from Texas that becomes, the successor to another superhero. And so just the fact that these two, that the artist and writer, also Latino, they're putting that in there. And so the fact that he's proud to be an alien, right? Like, this is his city, but it's also, you know, he's not from there, but he's going to take it up anyways. And it ends up working in the Beetle goes into like Super Saiyan mode essentially, and it blows up the Pinnacle robot so much so that the head falls off. It takes a couple steps and then falls down, kind of in that Mecha Godzilla kind of way. And then the Beetle's trying to crawl away, and Jaime picks it up, and Victoria wants to vaporize it, and he goes, "No, this is all your fault. You corrupted the Beetle. The Beetle was fine, right? Like when it was being used by Natita, it was just a regular scarab that was programmed by the Reach or the Horizon to protect them from the Reach. And you turned it into this. It deserves a second chance. Everybody deserves a second chance. And we have to try to make up for our mistakes. And it's this really like the art here is Jaime has his back to essentially the camera, right? And Ted and Victoria are on equal sides of him. And when he's talking to Victoria, he's looking at Ted too. So it almost feels like he's almost like, hey, Ted, you know, second chances are kind of what us Blue Beetles are based off of, which is it's a really nice the way the layout and sequencing goes, and that his Jaime's Beetle starts talking to him and is like, look, you would risk your life to protect a creation of the Horizon, and he goes, yeah, I do the same for you, right? To his scarab. And the scarab starts processing and goes, understood. Conclusion, the sentiment is shared. And thank you, Jaime Reyes. So it seems like now him and his scarab are fully bonded, right? Is that even though in the last arc it went into that full legato mode and killed the blood scarab against Jaime's wishes, it seems now that it is going to be a partnership. This whole thing about second chances and showing, you know, you don't have to be a weapon of war, right? You can be a weapon of protection. Is all there, and they're looking out over the wreckage of the Pinnacle robot, and the sun's starting to peek through all the clouds, and it's just a really nice, image to end the book on. So yeah, Blue Beetle continues to be a lot of fun. The art by Gutiérrez is fantastic, so to see him pop up in A World's Finest should be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's Blue Beetle. So I'm gonna give this a 7.5.
All right, cool. Batman, Gotham by Gaslight, The Kryptonian Age, issue 1, Andy Diggle writing with Leonardo Fernandez on the art. Can I just say, having 2 colons in your title, always clunky, right? Did you really need to have Batman there at the start? I'm sure people would see Gotham by Gaslight and get that it's a Batman book, but you have to have Batman in there, so whatever. Here we are. So I went into this having never read the original Gotham by Gaslight, whereas you did go back and read that this week.
It's only a 48-page book, so I was able to find it in the store.
I knew it was short. I didn't realize it was that short.
I ended up getting the collection that came out, I think, last year that has all of the Gotham by Gaslight and some of there's some Convergent stuff in there. I got it for cheap. It was fine. But I only read the first story, which was Gotham by Gaslight. So do you want to go through the Kryptonian Age first, or do you want me to give a quick summary?
I mean, let's talk about this book first, because I feel like I may ask a couple of questions as we go, and then anything you want to fill in at the end, you can knock yourself out. So the book opens with a flashback to 1860 in the Kansas tribal territory, which is Kansas, in case you didn't get the... We get Jonathan and Martha Kent on a carriage with a horse, and of course this is the ship landing seemingly, and them finding. We don't see Clark here. We just see something opening. A green light comes from it, and then well, actually, before it cuts to present day, there is that interesting little moment where some Native Americans are watching this play out in the distance. So curious to see what they do with that. Obviously, how the Superman stuff ties into everything. Well, there's some stuff later on, obviously here, but that I think that remains to be seen what they're going to do with that. But the main story is Gotham City in 1893, and we actually spend most of this for a book that's called Gotham by Gaslight: The Kryptonian Age, which sounds very Batman and Superman-y. Most of this book is following Selina Kyle, which is actually kind of funny.
Which is funny because the original Gotham by Gaslight, there's very actually little Batman in there. You spend much more time with Bruce. Yeah, you spend a lot more time with Bruce Wayne doing things then you see Batman on the page, which is very curious.
Yeah, one of the things I was going to ask actually
Yep.
is this Selina following up for what she was in that book, or was she even in that book?
No, so that original book is just about Jack the Ripper coming from England to the United States in Gotham, and at the same time that a young Bruce Wayne in that time period who was overstudying in Europe to as we always do, right? Bruce leaves as a young man, comes back as Batman, right? So he is in Austria talking to Sigmund Freud when the first time we really see him, um, and he's coming back to the States. And at the time, the Jack the Ripper killings are just wrapping up in London.
Yeah.
And then so as he starts to show up as Batman, the Jack the Ripper killings start happening in Gotham, and they start to conflate them. So the newspapers start thinking that this Batman is killing people in the same manner, and that maybe it was operating, this Batman was operating in London and whatnot. So it's very focused. The only characters you really get to see, Alfred pops up. There's a Gordon, of course, who looks like Teddy Roosevelt, which I'll never not love. And so Alfred, Bruce, and Dent shows up as a lawyer at one point.
Okay.
And stuff, but there's not a whole lot. Now there was a secondary one that was well, I forget what that was called, but there's a second Gotham by Gaslight that came out years later that maybe she's following on from. I'm not sure, but in the original book, it's very focused on Bruce trying to figure out who Jack the Ripper is.
I actually know the answer to that question. It's the one thing I know
Yes.
about Gotham by Gaslight.
Yes, and it's very well told. The Mignola art is fantastic, and the way that we get there, the 48 pages, when I say that it sounds or it feels longer than it is, it's not. There's just a whole lot of mood and pacing in that book where you don't want to rush through it, right? You want to take in,
I should
because
read
it's a
it.
detective,
Yeah,
because it's a detective story. You're trying to pick up all the pieces, and there's multiple not choices, but there's multiple suspects that they try to point out through there. But yeah, so this is the first time that I've seen the Selina Kyle in this version.
I should read it because the Mignola art alone is a reason enough to read it.
And it's before he was really doing a lot of the same, like, not the same stuff, but it's still very much set to like a time period, right? So there's not like a lot of monsters and stuff, although some of the pictures of Batman, right, in the newspapers that are drawn up are a monstrosity, but it's very, there's a firm foot in reality that he does that I'm not used to Mignola, because I'm more used to later stage Mignola where it's a lot of fantastical elements through like Hellboy
Sure.
and whatnot. So the fact that it was so reined in, I was shocked at. But yeah, so we'll continue with this one.
Because even as I was reading this, I was thinking, I wonder if Selina's in the original book, because this feels like they're making a point of introducing her properly, and to me that. So I got the feeling this was like a new addition to this world, is that this is the take on who Selina is here, and we follow her down to like an alleyway, and she seems to be taking care of some of the prostitutes that live in the city. She seems to be like a madam of the time, who cares about the women who society does not care about them, right? That's sort of like she kind of hints at that during some of these early scenes where she's talking to them. Some of the ladies talk about, has anyone seen this Batman recently, kind of thing. But she, after all this though, she goes to the Gotham Museum because there's a gala for a new display that Bruce Wayne's apparently putting on called the Kryptonian Age, and it presents the idea that Kryptonian artifacts are from history, and it's like a hidden part of history that no one knows about.
It's almost like if someone said they found Atlantean stuff. Well, not because Atlantean is DC also, but yeah, like a lost civilization that that's gone unchecked,
I wonder if that's this idea that Kryptonian stuff has landed on Earth previously, and that's why it's here, or is it that it came around the same time as Clark, but because maybe Native Americans like found it and had it like I don't know, like maybe people have misinterpreted it as being old artifacts.
Yeah, and knowing what I know about history at that time, right, is that they didn't realize about dinosaurs enough, right? That's where a lot of people thought that dinosaur bones were dragon based, right? And this is where the paleontology and stuff is just picking up. So there's a good chance that they think that this alien culture is a long lost, Earth culture. And so I definitely like that here, and it also shows like a lot of fun design work with a lot of the Kryptonian stuff.
Yeah, yeah. So it just kind of hints at this stuff. This is the thing, like, you go a long time in this issue without any Batman or even Bruce Wayne. Like, you hear him mentioned because it's his thing that's on. There's more character building though. Selina comes in, and there's like a couple of snotty rich people who are like saying, "Oh, she like runs a whorehouse." I mean, they don't actually say that. They sort of speak around it, but that's effectively what they're saying. And the big pompous guy with the big mustache is like, "Oh, I wouldn't know anything about that at all. I don't know, not me. I'm a civilized man."
A gentleman's club of exceptional discretion.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
And the wife, or if it even is his wife, is like, "Hey, aren't you going to like throw her out? We don't want her kind here." And he's like, "Well, I mean, of course we don't want her kind here, but I mean, what could I possibly do about it?" Like, so he's a bit sniveling. This whole thing. Of course, she's here to pull off a heist. In fact, she's got an ally, an English ally, inside who she swaps clothes with. She gives her fancy like dress and puts on her of the time Catwoman gear to go on her heist. I like the banter between all these characters. In fact, this English woman, when she's like at the dinner table later, and she's just sort of like talking about how good the food is, but she's like doing it in thick Cockney, and then like corrects herself and goes, "Oh, most indubitably, it's marvelous, yes."
Yes. So that's Holly Robinson.
I figured that was meant to be the take on Holly, but they don't call her that though, right?
No, she does. At the top of that page where you see her first in her Catwoman gear, she goes, "Remember, Holly, discretion. You're to be seen and not heard."
Oh, she does. Okay.
When she does poke through, she's like, "Free grub, isn't it? Flipping stomach, thinks my throat's been cut." You're just like, "Holly, you weren't supposed to be talking."
Yeah, I did think it was meant to be her Holly of this time period, but I didn't think they named her, so I was thinking it was like spiritually her, but you know, but fair enough. Yeah, they threw the name in. So Selina is trying to steal specifically what looks like a green kryptonite ring. That's what it looks like. It's glowing green. There's like armor and stuff around here as well. But you know, she grabs this ring. It's a great page, and it's when she's actually leaving the rooftop of the building that we first see like the silhouette of Batman watching as she leaves,
hanging upside down like a bat, which I'm never not gonna laugh at.
Yeah. So she's taking this ring to some crooks who who hired her to steal it, and of course they want to double cross her and not pay her, and she gets all Catwoman-y and gets the claws out and starts threatening them. They pay her some diamonds. That's her payment.
Yeah. And she's trying to pass off like uncut diamonds, right? And she calls him. She goes, "You treacherously inclined troglodyte may wish to investigate the contents of his breast pockets, but also not the sharpest." So does she mean that she did want the uncut diamonds, or is she accusing them ripping her off?
Oh, you're misreading that. Yeah. So she did want uncut diamonds. She's not complaining about the payment. The payment's what she asked for. Okay. She's saying that she's already put the green ring in the guy's pocket.
Okay. It's right? Definitely misread it.
She slipped that into his pocket. So he takes that little bag out and he's like, it's here. Okay. So this is the exchange. Although she does offer some of the diamonds back if they'll tell her who hired her. She wants to know who hired them to like broker this deal. And they don't want to do that. But just as that happens, the League of Assassins shows up and starts firing arrows at everyone. But notably, the leader here, who turns out to be Talia, picks up this ring and says, "No, this isn't real. This is a fake. This is just radium. It's just paint to glow green. This isn't the real thing." And she calls it the ring of something. Like
Zhong Li.
Yeah, so they think this is some, you know.
But the stuff on it makes it look like a Green Lantern ring. So I'm wondering if this is how they're going to introduce Go. So if you look at it when it starts glowing, the image on the ring almost looks like a what am I looking at? Like a simplistic rendition of the Green Lantern symbol, right? It's a circle and two lines, in between. So I'm wondering if this is supposed to be a Green Lantern and not a kryptonite ring, right? And that's why she says, "Oh, it's a forgery."
I mean, if it is, I don't see it leading to something. I don't think this is building up to Green Lantern showing up.
Okay. I also think Zhong Li was a Elseworlds Green Lantern too, so maybe they're just using that as a reference.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Green ring.
I mean, maybe it is like hinting at something there, but I feel like we're only just introducing the concept of Superman into this Elseworld. It feels weird to be already teasing Green Lantern stuff, but I mean, if that's the case, then that's the case. But Batman shows up, so we get like a big fight sequence, which I actually thought this looked fantastic. I thought the art here was really good.
Yeah.
Lots of silhouettes, like you got the smoke obscuring everything, but then when there's like a blast, it turns orange. It really sort of makes certain panels stand out. Notably, at one point, one of the assassins is about to stab Batman in the back, and the whip from Catwoman comes in and grabs the guy's hand, so she kind of saves his life, and makes a little catty comment about it, of course. But Batman chases out the League of Assassins onto the top of a train, which is next to the building, the warehouse they're in, and again, more fun action. I thought the sense of motion here was really good. Batman throwing his little throwing knives at them with the orange background, also really cool. All the motion lines in the train. You get the sense that the train is now moving. But the final page is that Batman's pretty bleeding, wounded from all the fighting these assassins. And this is where Talia sort of announces who she is and says she'll grant him a swift death. So it leaves in a cliffhanger where he's in a bit of a predicament. I suspect Catwoman might help him out again at the start of next issue, but we'll see. I thought this was really good. I think I wasn't sure how long this book was going to be. I kind of went into it thinking this may be like 3 issues that are like 50, 60 pages each. It is a longer issue. It's not regular size. It's about annual size, so it's a bit beefier, but not like super sized. So knowing that it's 12 issues is actually kind of cool, because I feel like the pacing here makes a lot more sense knowing that it's 12 issues, because it takes time setting up Selina, setting up the atmosphere of the Gaslight version of Gotham. The mystery of they're showing us that a ship from Krypton seemingly has landed next to the Kents, just like the start of Superman, but it makes a point of not showing us the baby. It makes a point of not showing us young Clark Kent. So I'm like, okay, are they going to swerve us here and there's no Superman? It's just they're doing something different with it. I could see them going that route where there is no Superman.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we'll have a Kryptonian, but maybe it's not Clark.
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe it's Kara. Maybe it's, maybe they're going to switch it a little bit. But yeah, I don't think you call it the Kryptonian age without having a Krypton or Kryptonian pop up at some point.
It could just be stuff from Krypton, or maybe you're onto something, right? Maybe it's a Green Lantern in there, and there is no Kryptonian stuff. Maybe the word Kryptonian, because this exhibit, the Kryptonian Age, they have named it that without knowing anything about a Superman. Well, so where did they get that name from?
True, and there's if you look at all that stuff, right? Some of the masks look more Thanagarian. Right.
I thought that. I thought it looked like a Hawkman mask. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe this was a ship that maybe this is a Brainiac thing too, right? Maybe it was Brainiac's collection, and it got caught up and crash landed, and that's how they know it's the Kryptonian era or whatever.
Although now that I'm looking at the panel where Selina first gets the ring when she's doing her heist, that symbol looks like the Superman symbol upside down. Obviously, from our perspective, the way she's looking at it would look the right way up.
So you said it's when she steals it the first time.
Yeah, so it's the big sort of 2/3 of the page panel.
It does.
Yeah, because it's got the point facing her.
The negative, because it looks like the pentagram. It's not a pentagram, pentagon.
Yeah. Pentagrams. That's we're getting witchcraft at that point, man.
Yes. And it's not an upside down. But yeah, no. Now you see that you're looking at it. Yeah, I didn't notice that one. I noticed on the other one, it kind of looked like a Green Lantern ring. That's what kind of threw me. But
I think it's probably squished, and that's why.
Yeah.
I mean, a Superman symbol makes more sense. All things
much more if it's considered. The Kryptonian, and and if it's made out of a chunk from Krypton, right? Like it's gonna glow. But this was also a forgery, right? So maybe there is a real ring out there.
Well, yeah, I presume that because basically they think it's a trap, that Batman planted this as a trap. So I presume Batman does have the real one, or has at least seen it, so it is based on the real one. That'd be my guess, anyway. No, I really like the art here. I thought the color palette, obviously, lots of browns and yellows, and try to fit the time period of the kind of the Victorian era of I was going to say London there, but it's Gotham. But it's clearly based on Victorian London, though.
Yes.
So
there's a lot of talk in Gotham by Gaslight too about how Gotham feels like a modern London, and spots down to when Jack the Ripper starts killing in similar areas of ill repute, right? That people aren't going to notice women missing and whatnot. So yeah, definitely they're playing on those similarities.
Yeah, I really like as well that Selina's got like climbing gear, but it looks kind of like claws on her boots.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really nice
Yeah.
little touch.
Mm-hmm.
Very cat-like. So no, I like going into this with obviously I know that Gotham by Gaslight is a beloved story, but having not read it, I didn't really know what to expect. But without the frame of reference, I thought this was a really good first issue and I didn't feel alienated at all that I hadn't read Gotham by Gaslight. It felt like everything this story is doing, it felt like it's setting up. It's obviously teasing some mysteries that it wants to like I was thinking about. But yeah, it feels like Selina's obviously going to be a big primary character here. She's the one we focus on for the vast majority of the issue. But it being about saving, or it being about stealing something that's Kryptonian when none of these characters in theory know what Kryptonian is, makes me think there's some more to the story here. That said, though, yeah, a Superman could show up. Like, there's a reason why I think this is set, the flashback set, enough time in the past that he could be an adult
23
now.
It's 23 years, right? So he'll be around 25, 26 years old, depending on what version of the Superman origin you're using. If he's still a baby or if he's the birthday matrix, whatever it is.
Yeah, is he 1, is he 5 when he lands, who knows?
Right.
Like, it depends on the interpretation. But it feels like they're playing it so close to the chest. I do think there's some kind of swerve to it, that it's not just a straight, Superman landed in Kansas and he's now Superman. It feels like there's something more to it than that. But I mean, we'll see. Maybe they're holding it back in the same way that they held Batman back for most of this issue.
Yeah.
But yeah, curious to see how this goes. But I'm happy to say that I'm totally down for this whole series now.
Yeah, I might have the second Gotham by Gaslight read by the time this next issue comes out, because it's called The Master of the Future, and it lays some more. So they introduced Julie Madison as Brett as Bruce's fiance.
Is that Oh, they mentioned her in this book actually. They mentioned the fiance. So they are using that second book as part of continuity. Is Magnolia still on the second book?
Let me see. I don't think so. I think it's a different.
Okay, I'm just curious.
Artist. I'll have to check. Let me go into the other app right here. But yeah, so the fact that they're also playing with all three so far of Bruce's love interests, I think is very curious. Right? We get Selina and Talia introduced in this. You have him in a relationship with Julie Madison, right? So.
I did note that when they mentioned like he has a fiance, that's right when like they're talking to Selina in that scene, and I was, or just before they talked to her at least, and I was kind of thinking, it's interesting they're pointing out that he's got a love interest already, but before he meets Selina for the first time, effectively. Yeah. So curious.
So it's not listed on here. I'd have to go all the way back to where I left off. It doesn't. Well, it could be Magnola with a different artist, but yeah, I don't think it's Magnola on the second one.
Okay.
If I had to guess, but I'll definitely have that read just so I can fill more of this world in, because it feels like a lot of fun. I love when they do Elseworlds like this that aren't like one for one, right? Like, Bruce is engaged to Julie Madison, right? And that could cause problems, but it's not like he's instantly going to have a thing for Selina when she shows up, because that's what we all expect. Or like the same with Superman. We don't have him, like, there's still a lot of mystery around that.
I'm pretty sure he's still going to have a thing for Selina.
Yeah, but I feel like he's going to be a lot more conflicted about it, like, unless something happens to, Julie or whatever. Because don't forget, the League of Assassins is around. So.
Talia is probably going to stab her. That's just.
Yes.
I also wonder though, like, we don't really know. I don't expect Talia to be the main villain. I expect there to be another villain involved, and we don't know who that's going to be yet. I mean, hell, they could make Superman the villain if they want to go down that route.
I know we're doing a lot of Vandal Savage over in Batman, but I like him popping up in these things because he is immortal, right? If anyone's going to know about a Kryptonian age, Vandal Savage is there. And also the tie to the meteors and all that other stuff. But yeah.
All right, well, there you go. That's the Kryptonian Age issue 1. Pretty good. I'm glad I'm on board. Like, right away, it felt confident. It felt well paced. Like I was drawn into the world, and I'm into it. Especially once it got to Gotham. I think once it got to Gotham, and we got this nice slow introduction to Selina and the world that she inhabits. And given this idea that, yeah, she's a thief, but she's got kind of the heart of gold. She's taking care of people that the society's left behind and wants to just ignore because, you know, it's taboo. Again, makes you want to root for her. So you kind of get on her side. So it's well done. Yes. What you rating Gotham by Gaslight Kryptonian Age issue 1?
I'm gonna give this an 8.
I'm happy to go up to the 8.5 on this. I think it's really good stuff. So. Yeah.
So also real quick, the artist for Master of the Future, which is the Gotham by Gaslight sequel, is Eduardo Barreto. So yeah, same writers, Brian Augustyn, as the original Gotham by Gaslight. But yeah, so different artists. But yeah, a lot of fun.
All right, that'll take us out of the part of the show where we pick our favorites of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and of course top 5 books, or 4 in my case. Well, 4 in your case too, actually. Now think about it. What is your panel / moment of the week?
Let's see. There's some stuff in Blue Beetle that I liked a lot. Outsiders had that, but also Green Lantern. A lot of the stuff with Carol really got to me. I'm gonna go from Outsiders, and that's when Jenny sees the ghost of Jonah Hex. I just like that. I like that they blank out the cussing and stuff, and it feels like a big moment.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to go with the chase onto the train in Gotham by Gaslight. I was tempted to pick something from Green Lantern, but I think I'm going to go with that. For cover, I do think I'm actually I've got 2 great Green Lantern covers and a great Gotham by Gaslight cover to pick from. Because Kryptonian Age has got a Matina cover with Batman, and he's sort of like, you know, he's got the
Gaslight suit.
The Gaslight suit with the collar is what I'm trying to say. Green Lantern's regular cover by Xermanico is gorgeous with him and Carol kissing in their outfits. But then there's also a Doc Shaner cover, which is very nice, with like Kid Hal, Green Lantern Hal, and Pilot Hal kind of all together. All of these are excellent. It's tough to pick, but I think I'm going to give the edge to the regular Green Lantern cover, but it's really tough. Like, it's really tough because that Doc Shaner cover is gorgeous. But yeah, so that's my pick. What you got, Matt?
Yeah, so before I pick the Shaner cover, because that's mine, I wanted to highlight the Outsiders cover. I think the main cover is really nice. It does a lot of stuff like you're talking about with the reds and the blues and that. And it also kind of fits Kate as a character. But there's the Christian Ward cover that definitely uses the language of a Western, where it's got the holster. I think it's supposed to be Jonah Hex, right? It's got the hand on the holster and Kate in the background, and they look like they're about to do a 10 paces duel. Looks really good. But yeah, no, it's the Doc Shaner Green Lantern. As soon as I saw that one, I knew it was my pick.
Pardon me. Yeah. And then best art of the week.
This is tough though, because all the books I read had very good art. Even Gotham by Gaslight by Nikola, right? I wish I could pick that one, but it's not official.
Yeah.
This is tough. I think though, because of the way that the coloring worked, I'm gonna give it to Xermanico for Green Lantern.
Yeah, this is tough. Again, I feel like there's an argument for Carey on Outsiders, but I think it's really a fight between Xermanico and Fernandez for Lantern and Kryptonian Age. And I feel like I'm leaning towards Fernandez, and I think part of it is just because it's like, it's new. I've not seen Fernandez in a little bit, right? Whereas Xermanico I've been seeing on these Green Lantern issues, and it felt like a really nice, consistent style in Kryptonian Age with a lot of great sequences. So I'm going to pick that, but again, it's very close. So, all right, rank your books, Matt. Go.
All right, so number 1 is going to be Green Lantern. 2 is going to be Gotham by Gaslight Kryptonian Age. 3 is Outsiders, and 4 is Blue Beetle.
Yeah, similar for me, I guess. I said I'm going to swap number 1 and 2. So 1 is Kryptonian Age, 2 is Green Lantern, but they're very close. 3 is Outsiders, and then a distant 4th is Batman and Robin. So there you go. I will now tell you what is coming next week from DC Comics. We've got Batman 149, Nightwing 115, World's Finest 28, Wonder Woman issue 10. Oh, all the Wonder Girls are on that cover. That looks nice.
I love that cover. Yeah.
We got Titans 12, Catwoman 66, John Constantine Hellblazer Dead in America issue 6, Green Lantern War Journal issue 10, and then there's some Crisis on Infinite Earths issue 3 facsimile editions to them all over. So it's actually not as busy a week 3 as it has been in previous.
No.
I've got 6 books, but still not bad.
Another Batman already. We just had a Batman.
It's funny, actually. This is the week that's supposed to have Action, but Action, for whatever reason, got delayed to week 4 this
pushed.
month. So it's we actually get Action and Superman in the same day this month, which is weird. But so yeah, it was a lot of House of Brainiac together at the end of the month. So look forward to that.
Oof, not looking forward to that because there's a lot of books that week.
For you.
For me.
Not for me.
Yeah,
I mean,
for me.
I mean, there's some new stuff. There's Zatanna and stuff, but...
yeah.
But,
I mean, if I have to give up Green Arrow for Zatanna, it's a thing I'm willing to do. But it's also a tie into Absolute Power. So I hate being a completionist.
Yeah, you're going to end up reading that. I know you are. But that will bring an end to Comics from the Multiverse. This has been episode 412. You can, of course, let us know what you thought of any of the books we talked about in the comments. And, of course, you can support the show and all the content that we're a part of over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV and help keep the show coming. But that is me. So thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate it. Keep reading DC Comics. And remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.